Okay then. All right, let's get started with the pink toucan beginner design. So for my center dot, I'm going to use 6 millimeters, and then I am going to start with Laguna. And then I'm going to get a 4 millimeter tool, and we're going to do 8 drops in Melon, and we're going to turn those into teardrops. So I'm going to do, let's see, leave a little bit of room so you've got plenty of room to pull that into shape, okay? So you see I've got some space in between my dot, and then we are going to pull that inward into a teardrop shape. And we're going to add 8 of those, but I like to start kind of doing my cardinal points first. So make your dot, pull it into a pin, and then fill it out. All right, so 8 melon teardrops around the center. Next, I'm going to get a 3 millimeter tool. I'm going to use my stylus, and we are going to do 3 millimeter swipes with the Fuchsia Pop. And so these are going to go on the same line as the teardrops. So I'm going to go up a little bit, about halfway through my second ring, and swipe towards that melon. We're just going to do that on the lines with the melon teardrops. So 8 of those. And on each side of the swipe, I'm going to add another set of swipes with the white peach. And I'm going to use my 2.5mm stylus. And so we end up with 3 swipes in each section. Next, I'm going to grab my 6mm tool, and we're going to make 8 dots, 8 fuchsia dots, and they're going to go right next to that fuchsia swipe. So these are on the line. We're doing every other, so we end up with 8 6mm. You're going to see me go over these. I'm just adding a little more paint because I squished mine a little too much and they've got a funny texture. All right, so that was 6mm and fuchsia pop. Next, I'm going to grab 8mm tool and Melon, and we're going to do 8 dots. These are going to go in between the fuchsia dots, but slightly out. So these go on the other rows that we left empty. So 8 melon dots with 8mm. Now we're going to fill in some of this space that we left in between here. So I'm going to get my 3mm tool, and I'm going to use Laguna, and I'm going to walk the dots right down that line. So I'm going to dip my stylus into the Laguna blue, and I'm just going to start walking inwards. And I end up with 7 dots. It kind of depends on how close you go. I'm walking all the way to the center in a straight line. All right, next I'm going to use my 4mm tool, and I'm going to stick with that Laguna color, and we're going to put dots next to this fuchsia, but we are going to turn them into teardrops going down, facing inward. So in the line next to that fuchsia pop, we're going to place a dot and then turn that into a teardrop. We're going to do that all the way around. Make sure you leave enough room for the bottom of that teardrop. Mine are kind of short and stubby here. All right, next I'm going to get my 1.5mm tool, and on the side of the melon, we are going to make a swoop that goes from the middle of the melon down to where that teardrop meets the fuchsia dot. So dip in your white peach, start at your melon, and then curve it down where that teardrop ends. And then we do one on each side. Oops, I did that one the wrong way. Ay, ay, ay. It's always something. There we go. So that creates a loop all the way around. Next, we're going to walk the dots just on the top part around the melon. And I had a lot more room in my sample, so I used a 3mm dot for the center. Today, I'm a little more crowded, so I am going to make it smaller, but I did 3mm center in fuchsia. So go ahead and let's do the centers before we walk those dots. And then flip to the smaller side of your stylus and walk on each side. And I just do 3 dots, 1, 2, 3. That's what I'm going to do. You'll see on the sample here, we've got a big ring around the edge. So what I'm going to do, I used 2 colors for the ring. So I'm going to do the melon first, and it calls for the 3mm tool. And with the melon, I'm going to put 1 dot on every line. And so that is every place where we've got a teardrop or a giant melon dot. And so I'm going to go around and do those first. So we end up with 16 of those, so 1 on every line. And then once you have all 16, we're going to fill in that ring with fuchsia dots. And so I was able to fit 3 comfortably. It's just going to depend on how close you work. So I'm going to place a dot in the middle and then 1 on each side. If you just want to go ahead and dot, you might be able to fit 4 in there, but it's totally your call. And that's the same size, so 3mm. We're just going to go all the way around and fill in that ring. Now this is the base of the design. Just a reminder, don't do top dots if you don't have a nice dried layer of paint. So be careful with your top dots. You can always do top dots however you want to, but I'll show you what I did here. I used 4mm and fuchsia for my center. I used my 1.5mm stylus and fuchsia, and on these swipes, I walked the dots down the swipe. I could fit 4 comfortably, so I did that on each side. And then on top of these large melon dots, I did a 6mm fuchsia dot. So all my top dots were in fuchsia. Mine were not completely dry, so I've got a little bit of that melon poking through, but I think I've got that covered. And so that is the whole design. Of course, you can add other elements if you want to. Feel free to make it your own. That's the best part. Anytime you're following somebody else's pattern, don't be afraid to change it and make it yours. So I might keep going here. I would love to see what you created today. So please share with me in the group or in the share space. Next week, I'll show you what we're creating. So this is what we've got. We have a large stone that we're going to create this design on. So this is the creative challenge that we're going to do next week. So I hope you can join me for that. And I'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you so much for hopping on, ladies.